Hey everybody, this is Don from the Vlog of Many Things. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We're starting about 5 minutes late because Restream just did not like whatever streamy kind of stream thing we were doing. But at any rate, I am Don. Welcome to the show, and with me is
10 card, and it wasn't I that shat the bed. It was Restream. I know somebody's going to try to blame me. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
Not
And I'm
this-
Steve.
all right, and Tom right now is AWOL. He is
I just think about what I just said. That's all I'm going to say.
that's true.
That's it. That's all I'm going to say.
Hector Martinez, how you doing, my friend? Thank you for coming to the show real quick. Okay, tonight, Mark's Generate Mixer. Yes. How you doing, Ground Control? Mark, how you doing? We're going to be talking about a couple different things tonight. We're going to be talking about the Eberron WIKI issue that Eric Tenkar covered earlier in the week on his vlog. We're also going to talk about Kickstarter's announcement that they're going to be doing some things for creators and also for people who use Kickstarter to purchase games and things. And we're going to get a little bit into charging for being a DM. And who knows what else. This is the vlog of many things. You know what? Crap will come up and we'll just start going on a rampage over something. So, David Thompson, thanks for tuning in. Everybody, if you guys want, hit a like and subscribe. We're going to start pushing that and help us support the channel a little bit. All right. Eric.
Yes.
We'll let you start off with Eberron. And I have a theory, but I'll let you start it off and we'll kind of dig into that. The Eberron WIKI. Please fill us in what happened.
All right. So this was brought to my attention. So the Eberron WIKI, apparently it had an admin that had been, I guess, MIA for one reason or another for a number of years, who returned. And they believed that he returned in good faith, and maybe it was good faith. But this individual decided essentially that, hey, these articles need updating. And I know the best way to update them, the best way to get the most honest to God, truthful, accurate information on the internet, let me use AI and let me update hundreds of articles, which is what they did.
But,
Wah, wah, wah.
okay, I'm going to be the asshole here.
Uh-huh.
But did they? Did he? Now, not that I'm jaded from the old, we had a rogue IT person come into play thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, never. You'll never have rogue IT people.
Okay. But this is the thing, is I have a wiki and so does Steve. In fact, me and Steve use both the same wiki service. And as a matter of fact, Steve just ran into this issue a few weeks ago, and I have ran into it before, is there's two modes you can put a wiki in. You can take the mode, like I have mine, it's private. In other words, Eric, you can visit it, you can read articles, you can click links, but you cannot add to the wiki.
Well, they gave this admin back his admin rights.
Yes, but my question I have is that there's another mode that you can do. And this is what I think possibly might have also happened. Is if you leave commenting and editing by members available, what will happen very quickly is bots will just consume your wiki.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll literally turn it on at 8 o'clock on a Monday night, look at it at midnight, and there'll be thousands of articles and posts in your wiki. And my question is, did they really bring an old admin in and he turned, because this is my question for Steve. Steve's a techie guy here. How do you turn AI loose into a wiki to begin with? Is that really, unless your wiki is set up to take AI?
Yeah, the AI can be actually made to update wikis on the fly as needed based on what you tell it to actually update. But it has to be given special access through an API to do that. But it can be done. You just tell it, okay, go in here, make sure all this stuff is up to date, and let it run, and pick up the pieces afterwards.
Yeah, but on the same token, there's probably more than one admin, right, Eric?
Oh, usually I don't know. I don't know the wiki. The main admin did actually respond on my thread on the actual video,
Uh huh.
and did I'll pull it up as
Yeah, because while you're pulling up, I want this is the thing about the wiki though. When the wiki, okay, if there's other admins, and this is a big wiki by the way, Steve, just to let you know. Um,
Hmm.
if I would presume that there's somebody there or a group of people that are admins, and they probably have notifications on, so you're notified when there are changes made to your wiki because it's a major D&D wiki. Eberron's a major D&D world.
Hmm.
So the thing is these admins would be notified at least relatively quickly that something's going on, unless like people just drop the ball on the universal. And again, I want to preface something. My apologies to sounding like a jerk here. It's very well possible they brought a guy in and he accidentally decided it was a great idea to let AI handle everything, you know.
well.
But
Here's what's interesting. I no longer see those comments. There were two. There were at least two comments from somebody claiming to be the admin. I no longer see those comments on the thread.
yeah, because the thing about a wiki is it's like with mine. If you go to my Ultraverse wiki, I turned off a long time ago the ability for people to adapt it. I mean, that's great. That's the great thing about a wiki is you're supposed to want people to make changes. But like even under new TSR, remember when Voldemort Eric was making all those
Oh my
changes to the
god! Yeah,
history and everything?
Wikipedia. Yes.
Yeah, so there's risk and reward. I don't use a wiki in the traditional way. I use it more to track my world. It's a great world building tool. So everything is consistent. Everything is interchangeable in doing. Um, but I don't know. Just the whole. It just strikes me as odd that they would bring a guy in, admin him, which is fine, but then he just turns like Steve said. You actually would have to develop, or you'd have to actually do a custom API to allow it to do it. It's just not a switch you turn on.
Hmm.
Right.
And for lack to keep it very simple, Steve, tell everybody what an API is in a simple way. Don't get technical.
API stands for Application Program Interface. It's basically the key from one, well, not the key. It's the intermediary between one application and another.
So you ever go to a website and it says log in using Facebook?
Hmm.
That's an API that does that.
Yeah, there's actually, well, not, that's not the actual API, but the API does sit between the website and
That's what I'm
Facebook.
talking about. The API is what does it. No, the
Right.
API is the intermediary between the two.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but
Don's saying keep it for me to keep it simple because if you let me talk shop, I probably will probably set up. Yeah, exactly. I'll have brain cells melting down all over the place.
yeah, it can be a relatively complicated kind of a thing, but most APIs are really simple, and it would be a simple API thing to let a bot go crazy.
Hmm.
But wow, let's presume it's true. Wow, that's all I got to say. Who would ever think that's a good idea?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that this wiki user's social clout. Like, hey, the more information you add, the more important you look. Like, hey, our highest ranked member is Jack Off because Jack Off has made 1,700 entries. So, oh well, hey, this can make me 1,700 entries in an evening. I don't know. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, yep. I was raised a poor oak child. Welcome to the channel, Terry R. Thanks, Brian. How you doing, guys? By the way, everybody in chat, if you guys have a question, comment, anything like that, be free, throw it in there. We're happy to highlight it and talk. If you have another idea for another subject, we're always happy to go on tangents and go off the rails here. This is the vlog of many things.
Uh-huh.
So it's an interesting thing. I think that at the end of the day, Mr. Gunn, how you doing, my friend? I think at the end of the day, if this is true, let's just say it's true. The golden rule is this: is AI is very good for many things, but just don't let it go crazy especially for your wiki folks.
Yeah, and
Bad.
understand that it's fallible because it's made by fallible human beings, and there are times it hallucinates and goes insane. I deal with that all the time.
And also, one other rule about AI, it's like Google, folks. Just because you read it on Google does not make it true, okay? Google bias is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, Google it.
Ba-dam, 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 bam, bam.
I feel like a monkey going through the little drum set. Okay. All right. We milked that one for all it's worth. Now that it's dead in the field and no longer mooing, that was quick. All right.
And by the way, Don, just a heads up, I had to go to the original link, go into the
Okay.
live chat, and tell people in my live chat, here we are. So you might want to do that to your original link. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Like I said, just for those who don't know, what happened was earlier we started on time, and halfway through the introduction, which I don't know if that's like fate telling us to get rid of the 30-second introduction and go to something quicker, but all of a sudden my restream went, your restream has stopped, but we still kept going. So, and I had to restart it.
Yep.
So, Foogly, don't try to understand it. It was just something that happened on our end technical. We're just being dumb.
It's not my fault. I said that from the beginning.
It was Eric's fault. It was all his fault.
It's not my fault, damn it.
All right, question for everybody. Let's save the Kickstarter for last, Eric. Okay.
Yeah.
What is I'm going to throw a question at the chat here. We got an active chat. We got a bunch of people watching. What is everybody's opinion of a DM who says, "Hey, I'll come to your table and I'll DM for you, but I charge." And let's say the amount of money is $50 for the entire table for up to 6 people, and they'll give you a session 0 for free. What is everybody's opinion of paid DMing? Thoughts, ideas, opinions? While people are kind of blowing up the keyboard and typing that one, I'll give my opinion.
Yeah.
Is I really don't see the problem with it as long as they deliver. As
Right.
long as you're giving the money's worth and they're not being stupid in their fee.
Oh, wait, you're saying like you wouldn't pay $500 a table just to game with an A- rated GM?
Probably not.
Because I'm just, and that's per person, not for the table, right? That was
But
like
you get a free drink with it.
You get a free drink. Oh well, yeah. Here's some urine. Enjoy yourself.
Oh, Mr. Gunn. Mr. Gunn says something that is so classic, vlog of many things. Mr. Gunn says, Don, does the expression, I love you, my friend, have any meaning for you? You know, Mr. Gunn, you're so eloquent in how you come across. You know what? I take it you're not for paid DMing. I'm going on a limb here.
All right, and listen, there are valid arguments on both sides. If you're running a game for your friends, your social group, people in your community, I would not feel right. That in my old gaming group when we played face to face, the DM did not supply the snacks. Everybody else brought the snacks. The DM ate for free. That was the unwritten rule. But
Brian says not a big deal, but it's a high bar to meet if I'm being charged. And see, that's the big warning to me. Is this basically, folks? What happened was a lady earlier in a Michigan group mentioned she charges $50 for a table up to 6. Session 0's free, and it's $50 for the entire table. And she basically got land bases so bad she left the group. I agree with Brian. In fact, Eric, me, and Steve were talking about this before we went live. To me, if I'm going to pay, and this is what I warned her, keep in mind people are going to have extremely high expectations.
Yeah.
Thyatis says, paid DM. I can't justify it personally because I'm usually the DM, but I do not philosophically hate the idea, especially if they're having to pay for gas. But it's difficult, in my humble opinion. I'll put it more simple to me. If the market can bear it and people are willing to pay it, what's the big deal? Yeah, maybe you don't want to pay it, so don't. But I don't think it's necessarily wrong. So again, opinions, people.
Yeah.
I was raised by a poor orc child. Says others can do it, but I refuse to be paid. I won't pay directly for it, not counting through a con. Let me get some comments real quick. This is getting real
Yeah.
busy. Also said, other than group supplies, snacks. S. Lewis, thanks for tuning in tonight. S. Lewis says, I would never pay for a DM, but I guess if people feel they need to pay for something, they could do it themselves. Who am I to judge? Seems like a very superficial engagement with the hobby. And then Mr. Gunn, Mr. Gunn, we ought to just start having you on here. Don, I don't pay for sex. I don't go to strip clubs. I sure as hell won't play for D&D. Well, I mean, the thing is, yeah, I mean, uh, I'm married. I pay. Structure is hidden. Exactly. Dave Thompson says, first time I saw a mention of paid DMing was adverts on the notice board in the local games workshop. Didn't see a price. Never discovered if anyone took up on it. And I got one more. I got a question for everybody then on this. Feed the DM is about right as long as they just want potato chips and dip. All right. My question is this to everybody. For those of you who are against it, if you're against paid DMing and you had a chance to go, let's just say to WizardCon, and there was Larry Elmore there or Ed Greenwood there charging $100 a head, how many would pay for it?
Nope.
I'm just saying. You get my argument though, right?
And here's the reason, because generally speaking, most conventions that do have celebrity games, guess where that money goes to? Charity. It doesn't go to. So if the money's going to Ed, and nothing personal about Ed, although Ed, I've heard your stories. I know why you get an escort, and not that type of escort, folks. Not like a Mr. Gunn escort. I'm just saying. Yeah,
we're a reputable show here. Come on, guys. We don't talk. We don't swear. We don't talk about anything unethical.
I've got a reputation to ruin. But the thing is,
I worked with TSR. My reputation's already fucked.
Yeah, please. But if you are, I would never pay at a convention to play with a game designer or a personality. Couldn't care less. But money's going to a good cause. Maybe I'd be giving the cause of the cause. My experience, by the way, is that some of the best DMs are some well-known names, and some of the worst DMs are some well-known names.
Yes.
You better have an idea before you go, oh, I know that name. These sound really cool. I think I might be in a game. And you're like,
but Eric, let's face it. Most of the time when people want to play with a DM at a convention, a famous person, okay? Let's just say famous person. They're doing it because they want to be able to say, I played with them. And they also are looking to get an autograph, get a photo up. And Brian here, by the way, Brian, I haven't seen you on the channel before. Welcome to the show. Thank you. Brian says something that right there I agree with. If you don't want to pay, that's fine. It just means you're not in the demographic that they're going for. And that was my point earlier. I'm not a payer. I would never pay, but I don't see the problem with it if you can find a group of people willing to pay you.
The market bears what the market will bear. If there's a market for it, more power to you. I know that on my Discord server, there's about one or two people that have discussed that they're paid DMs. One does it in retirement and makes a decent amount of money. I think they got like 4 or 5 groups that go weekly at $100 per group. God bless you. I mean, that's fun money to make, and it's tax-free. I'm not sure you're not declaring it. But it also means these people that do it do a lot of prep. The ones that I've seen, that I've spoken to, do a lot of prep, and they put more than just, they're like school teachers. They put a lot more than their 8-hour day in.
Amen to
that. They put a lot more than those 4 hours into their session. So,
well, Fugly says something very interesting. Fugly says, I spent years getting paid to DM and free convention entry. Yes. And there are conventions that will offer, like WizardCon. WizardCon offers a free ticket if you will agree to do so many sessions. And that's just a design. Yeah, you're being paid to DM, but that's also designed to bring specific types of games in that they want to see come in that maybe they're lacking, like maybe it's getting close to convention time. Oh, gee, we don't have a lot of D&D tables set up for 5e. All right, we're going to offer free entry to the GM if they do so many sessions, that type of thing. So I can see that, but you know, Dave Thompson says I wouldn't pay Greenwood. I want to copy one of his books a few years ago, never received it. Mr. Gunn says, Don, if the market will bear it, more power to him. I'm happy to pay a few quatloos for a ticket to sit at a table. I am if it depends. Like Eric said, if it's charity, hey, I'm happy to throw a few bucks into the game. You know what I mean? Or if it's a DM, like someone really famous, it's not so much a fanboy, I want an autograph. To me, it's more, I want it, as long as it ain't a lot of money, I wouldn't mind knowing how they truly game. Like Ed Greenwood. Everybody really stokes Ed for creating Forgotten Realms, which he deserves because he created a kick-ass freaking world. I've never gamed with him. I'd be curious how he DMs his own world. That might be worth 10 or 15 bucks. You know? But Mr. Gunn says, Don, but the notion of playing a game, I'm the kind of guy who would rather grind out the work in a video game than give 1 cent for a loot box. Actually, I agree with you. Crawford was one of the worst I've ever seen of footage of Dungeons and Dragons last night. Yeah, I don't even watch online gaming that much. Mark Bear, happy a few quiet. Oops, sorry, already seen that. Sorry about that. Mr. Gunn says, Dave Thompson, time to send some bully boys around to have a nice cup of get your books. And then finally, Mark's January Mixer. Mark, thank you for tuning into our channel. First time I seen you here. Mr. Gunn, I'm married and I'm always paying and never get sex. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, Eric, do we got a counselor in the house? Hey, Rach, can we get you up here? We're lucky. We got my wife is a teacher. Rach is a social worker. Steve's got the cat. So I think we're covered across the board here, folks.
There you go.
And my cat's insane.
Yeah, but Hemi's insane. Is Birdie safe and dry, his stuffed toy?
No.
Oh, God. Any rate, moving on. We don't want to talk about Birdie and his cat Hemi. We don't get into any type of interpersonal relationships. But the thing is with paid DMing with me is that it is a thing actually, because people do a lot of times, they'll do things like, I'm drawing a blank here. The name of that service that you can get and people subscribe to you and they get something for supporting you. Not Pinterest.
Patreon.
Eric,
Patreon.
Patreon, yes. So people go ahead and do that type of stuff. So I take it the general thing is, by and large, no to the paid DMing, that type of thing. Dave Thompson has an interesting point. Dave says, I had to sleep on the sofa when my wife's character died while I was DM. Dang! Whew.
Ouch.
Wow. Moving on. Mark's January Mixer. Oh, forget about it. Diatus, thank you. Yes, Patreon. Mr. Gunn, AARP. Amen. At the rate I'm going, I might need that service here pretty soon. All right. So basically, paid GMing is just a no bueno to most people. All right. Now let's get down to the really good subject. And I think this is going to get a lot of mileage. Eric, I'll let you run with this one because you broke it. Kickstarter.
Oh, okay. So Kickstarter, which I always have to look behind me before I say this. I'm a super backer on Kickstarter, which means that over the last dozen years or so, I've backed over, in my case, over 600 Kickstarters.
Has it been that many?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's only the ones
Here
that
I am sitting here going, I backed 12. Flax.
Yeah, no, and then there's like another like 30 that were canceled and didn't fund. But yeah, I scary numbers. Trust me, as I live through it, I go, holy shit. But part of the problem with Kickstarter historically has been there's been no way to look back at creator Joe Smith and see what their record is. Are they on time? Were they flaky? Because Kickstarter's been asking you, were you happy with this Kickstarter? It's part of like a little
Mhm.
survey using.
They do. At the end of your Kickstarter, they will send 2 surveys out, I believe. They do an initial and then they do a post like 30 or 45 days later.
But the backers don't see it. You
Mhm.
see it, but the backers don't see it. So they don't know that Dave Thompson is he's an asshole that took 17 extra years to fulfill his Kickstarter. Just using you because Dave, you popped up on the screen. Figured, what the hell? Why not? Somebody's got to pick on you, Dave. So now you're going to get a little peek behind the curtain. Now Kickstarter is going to supposedly be on top of creators to make sure they deliver. I don't know how they're going to do that. You're a
I have
bad
an answer. I have
creator.
an answer for that because as a creator, I reached out to Kickstarter the other day. Yesterday it was.
Okay.
I got a little bit of an answer. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, so this is all they're promising more transparency in 2025. And well, we just entered 2025, so we got a long time for them to actually come forward with this. But to me, the question is, why now? Because they never gave a shit. Excuse my language, but they never gave a shit before. The most that happened with Kickstarter, the biggest things were the oh shit, we've allowed somebody to turn it into a Ponzi scheme, which they did numerous times in decades.
Whitman.
Ken Whitman, Center Reach Miniatures, Quantum RPG, with Joshua Frost, a few others. Um, and then they kind of tightened off on that one a little bit, but then give them stars like Amazon. Yeah, why not? But then they also had issues where their own vice president of was it public relations or creativity happens to be an RPG creator who was making sure that their shit was always staff pick and getting all the extra advertising.
No way. You sure
Oh,
it's not just some coincidence?
Nah.
yeah, no, it was like it was. I think it was the guy who did the Burning Wheel game. Uh,
Gotcha.
Crane. Forgive me if I'm wrong. It's been a couple of years. He got a little backlash on it, but I don't believe he got dismissed. So it was like,
Well, I think, okay, for open disclosure here, I have a pending Kickstarter that funded that is running about a little over a year late now. Okay. Now, as someone who has a Kickstarter running late, not long excuses. I would say that my reasons are very legitimate. Eric, you know the reasons,
yes,
very legitimate. Okay, now I reached out to Kickstarter because when I saw your video, I was like, whoa, wait a minute here. Are they going to break out the big 12-inch wide paintbrush and just paint anybody who's late with the same brush? Because there's a difference between someone late because they took the money and they frankly didn't put it in escrow and they spent it on better things. Frankly, Ken Whitman, because he admitted that on our show. And there's a difference between individuals who have very, very documentable, legitimate reason that have that money still in escrow, legally done. All right. So I reached out to Kickstarter's technical support and just said, this is what you guys announced. Are you going to just paint everybody late the same way? Their response, in essence, was it's going to be a rating style. Uh, it's going to be a rating style system that's going to gauge creators on a scaled system on several points. That's how they put it. So that tells me they're probably going to have it like some type of meter or starred system, probably going on like communication, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And then I responded back to them and said, look, if I can show proof that money is in escrow and I am not doing things in a wrong or malicious manner and it's documentable, would I remain is a good rated Kickstarter maker? And the response was, yes, we tend to make this very fair. Now, whether they do that or not, it's hard telling. But I'm not against it, and I have a Kickstarter running late. I think that it's about damn time they do that.
Mhm.
Well,
Well, before you jump in, I wanted to make a comment on this. As far as Kickstarters are concerned, one of the ones that came up was a couple of years ago that was an RPG game, something similar to what you were doing, Don, called Flamecraft. And I remember the way he did that. I was actually very impressed on how he handled it. He kept people up to date. This is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. So I don't know if he was, I don't know, remember if he was late or not, but I remember he kept people up to date all the time. And when it was done, people were like, yay, let's go out and buy it. And it just went over really well. So I think if they at least stay communicative, even if it's late, the people don't have a problem with it. It's the guys that go, thank you for your money, and then go dark, that they go, oops.
yeah, that's a huge problem, and it happens a lot. And in the case of Joshua Frost with his Kickstarter, which I wound up looking at for Quantum, he went dark for about 8 months as he struggled to figure out how he was going to tell people the money is gone and nothing's coming.
Real quick, Steve or Eric, can you please say what was the Kickstarter game called and how much was his goal and what did he raise?
All right, so Quantum, and I'll put a link in the. I'll put it. I'll give you the link. You can throw it up. Quantum was here's the sales pitch from 6-time Emmy Award winning author Joshua Frost. Comes a new science fiction RPG that blurs the line between magic and science. And he was looking to raise 13,000, raised almost 43,000.
Oh wow, so he hit 3 times. About
So what he did when he made that money, he went right to a nonprofit organization and said, "I got money. I need to start a business. Help me get a business plan. Not let me put together my project and let it get out let's get it out there." No. He was, I'm starting a business. I need an office. So it was. It looked good, and then, by the way, when he knew this wasn't enough, he kickstarted a supplement for a game that wasn't even released yet. That would be like, I don't know, asking for money for the second book of the series before this first book has even, like, taking pre-orders on the second book before the first book has hit retail yet.
I'm blown away. How did this guy raise over triple his goal with
He
a
was he was a Pathfinder freelancer.
he
There
had a
were
he had the credentials. Yep.
he had the
There's
credentials.
no imagery hardly on this. There's a lot of info,
Yeah.
but no image. Wow, I'm kind of blown away by that.
Yep. But
Well,
again, he was classic pyramid stuff. I need more money. Let's do another Kickstarter before the first one's even out.
you see, the thing with me is that, and this is just for those of you who are owed by Ken Whitman. Um, did anybody realize something? Did you know by Tennessee state law that you have to, in instances like this, you must have a escrow or it's a felony?
Really?
Yes. Michigan, same thing. You have to put these funds into escrow. And for those of you, and Steve, I'll grab your info in a second, show it on the screen. What people don't, for those of you who don't know, is the whole purpose of, and I'm going to keep this real simple, of an escrow is it's basically a separate bank account that you put the money in for the project. And the escrow is designed so that money stays safe and is not spent on other things. And it's actually a help to you as a creator because it shifts your tax liability. You could have $1 million in an escrow account, and until you start using it, it's not taxable. It's not considered taxable income. So, in my case with D20 Delving, that money's placed in an escrow account. The money is still there. Same thing with WizardCon, you know. And what happens is when you begin pulling money out, you have to list what's it for and all this. But the problem is these people like Ken Whitman and stuff, they say that it's under, Yo-Yo Entertainment, but it's really in their name. And instead of a federal tax ID number, they're using their social security number. How they get away with this shit, especially when you like 10 Whitman, almost 300 grand on their taxes, I have no clue. And if they're not reporting on their taxes, wow. But
Well, you know what? Say what you will about Ernie Gygax. There's a lot to be said about Ernie.
yep,
When he kickstarted the Memorial Tomb with Benoit, they put that money into a separate account. The funds were accounted
smart.
for. So when the Kickstarter shit the bed, and I say that in think of our good missing friend Tom, when it shit the bed, the money was there. So in that limbo time, at going to conventions, I spoke to a number of publishers who were approached to be white knights, and they told me too. Listen, it depends on how much money is still there, but they didn't have the manpower to do it, and the trolls had the manpower, had the man
Real
hours they
quick,
could put in,
Eric,
and got it out.
the trolls are troller games.
Yes, and they were able to do it also in a way because they have printing facilities and warehouse in house,
Yeah.
which other companies don't necessarily have. It lowered their cost.
Yes. Real quick, Mr. Gunn says something that's very important here, and I agree with him, and that is when you are running a Kickstarter like me that is running late, communication is essential. But not only is it essential, you freaking owe it to the people who trust you with their money. End of story. You know, Mr. Gunn says at Eric Tenkar's Tavern, like Bernie Madoff starting his own cryptocurrency from prison. Exactly. It's like standing in line at Disneyland so you can just get a better line. Let's see. Mr. Gunn says, okay, your mouse. Jeez. Thyeta says Memorial Tomb is an amazing module, by the way. That's the thing. And that's the kicker here is that I do not believe that every single person who ends up not delivering is doing it to scam. I think that what ends up happening here is, a lot of people are not prepared to have 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 100, 150 grand just dumped in their lap.
Yeah,
And
I'll agree with that.
yeah. And the thing is, what people end up doing is people end up, it's like Ken Whitman. I think I'll bet you when Whitman did his first one, he had good intentions. I don't like the guy, yeah, but I think the first one he had good intentions, blew it, got away with it, and then something clicked. And he went, wait a minute here. And then he did another one and another one. And, I think what ends up then happens is then just the nasty part of human nature kicks in and you become a scumbag. And what was the one thing I learned about Ken Whitman when we did our interview with him? He has absolutely zero remorse, and he'd do it again if he can get away with it.
Okay, well, remember, Ken had the license for the Highlander collectible card game. And
how do you get that? I still don't know.
Rumor has it he was making extra printings of the extra rare special cards on the side. I didn't even know he had the license, but this is what I have heard.
Oh, believe it. Wow. I don't even understand. I cannot even fathom the idea of how someone didn't knock on his freaking front door at 3 o'clock in the morning. 300 grand from people. I raised a poor orc child, says, apparently Ernie's in poor health. I saw a fundraiser posted. Oh boy, you got me on a rant now. Speaking of Ernie's fundraiser, Eric knows this one. Did anybody notice something about it? By the way, I donated. Okay, Ernie's having some severe heart issues. They want to send him home, but he needs a portable defibrillator unit, an AED, automatic external defibrillator. And so they put a fundraiser for $1,800 up for him to get it. And happily, it funded very quickly. I threw $35 in on it, trying to be nice, even though I don't like Ernie and I don't get along with him. The man deserves to have his health and to enjoy his wife and his life. So what happened? As soon as they hit that $1,800 mark, the fundraiser's goal was set to $3,500. Then once they made the $3,500, they reset it back down to $1,800.
I saw that too. Now, do I know medical professionals? I haven't reached out to any. However, I have people that reached out to me that have people in their family that have pacemakers, and they said that defibrillators and pacemakers generally don't mix very well.
No, they don't, because the defibrillator is electronic.
Right.
Or excuse me, the pacemaker is electronic. What a defibrillator does is the reason why they use two paddles is I used to be a paramedic, is you're wanting to actually stop the heart. It's not like the movies where they shock a flat line. They don't do asystole, a flat line. They only shock you if you have an irregular rhythm, and only certain ones. So you will short out a pacemaker. You can actually cause a pacemaker to do bad things in a person's chest.
Yeah. Chest grenade.
Basically, yes. By the way, Thaiatus says Memorial Tomb is an excellent module, and he's playing it right now. I've heard good about it. And again, to me, this is one of those sad things is you have something that's been very well done, but because of the shittiness behind it, and I'm talking about behavior and actions, you ruin it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a sad thing to me, you know. Like I said, I wish Ernie all the luck. I mean, it's a sad. You know, I don't like seeing anybody in that condition. You know, I lost a daughter, and I can imagine what his family's going through, the worry and the hurt and everything, his new bride and everything. I wish Donna the best also. Fugly says estimating prices and manufacturing in the future can be harder than many realize. Fugly, if you're getting at the point about this could be part of the problem, this is part of the problem with a lot of Kickstarters also, is they have in their mind what it will cost, but they do know real cost studies. If you want to know a guy who really is good at estimating what a Kickstarter is going to cost, only because this guy breaks it down to the eighth of a penny, and that's Jim Wampler from Mud Puppy Games. Jim Wampler knows his shit when it comes to Kickstarters and crowdfunding, and so does Chris Clark from Inner City Games. Those two guys ought to team up and write a how-to manual on putting together a crowdfunder.
Well, here, I'll throw out another name there, Douglas Cole, Gaming Ballistic.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, his real-life profession is a project manager.
That's a good guy to have.
Yeah. So he actually a little quick thing about Doug was in my once a month gaming group. It was called the B Team. My God, nearly a decade ago, and I got to know him pretty well. And he was, again, being a project manager and publishing on the side. He did the grappling. He did the first grappling for D&D that actually worked. He has a grappling book out. I'd have to look up. It was his first.
Oh, he actually did a book on it?
Yeah. He's also a martial artist.
Hold on.
He also does dungeon grappling. He also
what's his name again?
Doug Cole. He also makes authentic Viking shields. He's multi-talented. So he tried publishing full time, and he wasn't able to get the numbers to work. Wasn't he? He was making money, but he wasn't making the money to justify not being uh, a project manager. He had been downsized with his prior company. He was able to find another full time position doing it as a project manager. So, dungeon grappling. It is. Say it is dungeon grappling. It is. It works. It can work, and it work with anything from basic D&D to probably 5e. I say probably 5e because who the fuck knows? Probably doesn't work with 4e. Nothing works with 4e, not even 4e.
Yeah, but I think the thing with Kickstarter is what I hope what they do overall. What I'd like to see is even as a creator, what I'd like to see is a system to where, um, you know, you go in, you say, okay, uh, I create a Kickstarter that ends on March 13th, and then I tell Kickstarter it's going to ship by July 13th. Now, on July 13th, I think that creator should get communications from Kickstarter going, okay, you haven't entered your info yet in here. Please explain what is going on, and have kind of a preset system set up where that creator can go in and say, am I shipping? No. Why? And ask a series of follow-up questions, but force the creator to provide proof. Like as an example, do you have the funds currently in escrow? Yes. Okay. What is your bank name and what is the representative that handles your escrow account? Please, and have a means where there's a check and balance, because if you're a legitimate creator like me, I got no problem giving you my bank manager's name, and you can call him and ask him, and I'll even give them authorization to give you that info if you're legitimate, like Kickstarter and such. There has to be some type of accountability here, because right now the problem with Kickstarter is really anybody can create a Kickstarter as long as you got a good U.S. bank account, and there is no real accountability, not for the people that are late due to legitimate reasons, but sorry, the Ken Whitmans out there. You know, um, I see very good happening here, but I also see potential for really bad shit happening, because it's unfair to those creators who are delayed for legitimate reasons to get labeled possibly with some broad brush that they don't deserve. I mean, I don't know what other people's opinion on that is. Is late no matter what, you're a scumbag or what, but I just...
Listen, there's late and there's Kickstarter late, right? I mean, this is coming from the guy who spent like better part of like 2 to 3 years doing weekly Kickstarter updates on new, like dozens of projects I had back that were, I color coded the lateness. It was scary. But I would say that for most Kickstarters, if you're within 3 to 6 months of your estimated time of arrival, nobody really has a right to bitch that much. If you go beyond that with good communication, where you got people, you're probably okay. But if you're going to 6 months and you've been radio silent since it was due, then you're going to be looking for people to get the tar and feather out. Communication.
Well, go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Yeah, to use an example of mine, and this isn't from gaming, but this is from when I was writing Off-Road Chronicles. When I got to the third book, I wrote the third book, and then I realized this ain't working. And I stripped it down, redid it a second time, stripped it down, and did it a third time. That time it worked. And through that whole process, about once a month, because when I do my books, I try to, if there's something to post about, I try to do a monthly update on where I am with writing. And I was always keeping people up to date on where I was at with stuff. And they appreciated that. And I think, when you have a Kickstarter and you have game developers and you have stuff like that, you're going to hit walls. It's like I say, with like Off-World Chronicles 3 Gold Rush, I hit a wall, and I had to pretty much rewrite that whole book twice to get it to where it was right, and then I could start moving forward. And that took me a year and a half. And like I say, I just kept everybody updated, and they were happy, and that worked out perfectly. And that's what those Kickstarter people should do. Because stuff happens.
Well, things do happen, but it's being echoed in chat also here. I think that at the end of the day, there should also be accountability for the Ken Whitmans. I mean, you have people who everything just goes BC, great. Let me back up. I think you have two kinds of people. You have people that are crooks and people that are not. I really do.
Yeah.
You got the Ken Whitmans out there who figured out they can make a lot of money off this, and they just burn that bridge until there's no more bridge they can burn. They move on to something else. There should be repercussions for people like that. If anything, like having their FEIN or their social security number tagged in a system where sort of like the system me and you talked about, Steve, where we talked about making a system where creators, it'd be a creator versus creator type thing. So a landlord could look up a name, but tenants don't have access to the system. Only landlords do. Well, a similar system for things like crowdfunding, because it's so big now, where I can say, okay, I'm looking up this person's name or EIN. Have they screwed other people on other websites? Because people just go jump to site to site.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lien, Eric, like a lien system.
Yeah, I got you.
But for creators. I was raised by a poor orc child, said, I've never had a Kickstarter not deliver. I've had to wait a few times for 2 years after the original delivery date, but they've all come through. Real quick, I was raised as a poor orc child. So at the end of the day, if they deliver and they have good communication, is being late forgivable? Maybe that's the other half of the question that needs to be asked.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But again, communication is the key. And and honest communication. People, listen, backers can smell bullshit when you start spewing bullshit.
Yep. I've got ones outstanding now, but he's shipping now. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, as a creator standpoint, I can tell you right now, being late on a Kickstarter is not fun. And I'm not being hounded. It's just I feel like shit because I really want to go ahead and see my game on people's tables. I mean, there's an excitement on the creators end also going, man, I really want to get this out to people. I really want to see people playing it and everything. But, again, just too many people. And again, this is the whole thing. It is the Whitmans of this world, other people you mentioned, Eric, that really just, man, it's just sad. So at the end of the day, real quick, what is people's opinion here? Is this thing, Eric, I'll let you kind of wrap this up because I know you got to get going too. Mm-hmm. Is this, at the end of the day, if Kickstarter does this, is this good? Is it bad? Are they going to fuck it up? What's your opinion here?
I think it's good, but I think it is a reaction to BackerKit getting into the crowdfunding field. Not just being BackerKit is to Kickstarter what Paizo was to WotC. In other words, WotC created Paizo essentially when they allowed them to license Dungeons and Dragons as magazines and be the publisher. And that meant that when WotC stumbled, Paizo was ready and stepping up to take its place. And I think BackerKit got its feet wet and learned the whole process by being a resource for people, publishers, that were using Kickstarter. And they went from being a resource to being a competition. And I think they're doing a much better job at it. Every publisher that I've spoken to that has used BackerKit and used Kickstarter has told me that BackerKit is hurdles.
Okay, real quick.
Beyond, yes.
I will tell you right now because I just successfully yesterday completed a successful BackerKit. You talk about two totally different way they do things. BackerKit, and this is probably the reason why you're going to find less fraud on BackerKit. BackerKit really takes I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to walk step by step through this, especially at the end when it
Uh-huh.
comes time to have the money doled out. And they literally have a rep, a live human being assigned as your post crowdfunding representative, and they walk you through it, and you have to follow everything they want. So, but that's it. It's 9 o'clock. Real quick, Eric has to go, but I want to say something real quick. Eric, go
Yes.
ahead and do a plug. Eric has a very active Discord, and I was the first time seeing it last week. And I had a ball before I had to go get my daughter. Eric, tell everybody a little bit about what is the Speakeasy.
Okay. Real quick. Uh, a decade ago, I used to have a Chatwing plugin on the blog, which was a live text plugin, and we would do a hangout all by text. And then
Mm-hmm.
Discord came along, and I went, "Oh my God, we can do this by voice." So literally, what it is, it's a hangout. I hang out for generally an hour to an hour and a half. But and then by the way, I do that like dip when you leave the bar after you pay your tab and
Yeah.
you walk away so you don't disrupt anybody. I will do my dip because people are having their own conversations. They don't need me.
Yeah.
It's a hangout. It is a low stress, no issues. You don't know who's going to show up. We've had everybody from Bill Webb, James Spahn, Glenn Hallstrom, Bad Mike, Don. You don't know who's going to show up from the industry, and it's everybody. If you're part of the community, you just show up, you hang out, you talk, you listen. So it's very informal.
It was a lot of fun. I was surprised. You just
Yeah,
go in there and there's people there. There was last week. There was like two guys from the UK
yeah.
just talking, enjoying ourselves, real laid back. And by the way, real quick, Eric, next week we are going to be doing a live from TotalCon
Go for
in
con.
Boston, and I'll be live off and on throughout the coming weekend. Eric, I know you, so will you.
Yep.
I'll be live here on the vlog of many things on Wizard Tower Games, doing random interviews, shooting the shit, talking to people, and all that. Eric, thank you very much tonight.
Thank you
Appreciate
both.
it. Steve down below, go to earthfleet.net. That is Steve's author page. You can check out his writings, his books, Amazon links, Barnes & Noble, all that good stuff. Steve is an excellent sci-fi writer. So,
Yeah, and
Steve,
as a small correction, earthfleet.net is the anchor domain. The actual writing website is realmsofimagination.net.
yeah, Steve, we'll stay on a few minutes. Eric, thank you very much. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you,
Okay,
Jen.
Eric has to go.
I
Eric,
gotta go. Thank
me
you.
and Steve will stay on for a couple minutes here just to kind of chit chat a little bit. Yeah, it is realmsofimagination.net, correct?
Yeah, realmsofimagination.net. Yeah.
All right. Basically, and we'll only be here another 5 or 10 minutes. We'll let everybody go here so we don't waste your night. But basically, me and Steve have known each other now for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve was with me throughout my publishing company that I sold in 2013. We've been together through far too many funerals, my friend, and other things. We've been there for each other, so we're really good friends. He is a prolific sci-fi writer, the guy down below me. And if you like sci-fi and you like well done sci-fi with really integrated, I call it Trek style, really technical, but it all works. The guy down below is a real good writer for that. So, and I'm not just saying that because he pays me to say it.
Don't have anybody to say that or to pay you anyways.
Amen, my friend. But real quick, Fugly says something here, and I really want to show this off. Let me find it real quick. Let me find it. There we go. Fugly says the ability to learn from the mistakes of others is the heart of a business evolution. Fugly really nails it here.
Mhm.
You know, I believe that, and we'll talk about Kickstarters and such. You always learn from things that you do, and if you're not, you're doing it wrong.
Mhm.
And that's the reason why I think a lot of times that people who fail at things like Kickstarters and such, they don't look at the whys. But also, raised by a poor orc child. See you later. Also, good night, Mr. Gunn. Good night, Dave Thompson. Good night. Um, you know, and real quick, Mr. Gunn says, have an Indian pudding. Mr. Gunn, you come to WizardCon in April. I got an Indian food joint called Saffron's. Their rice pudding will blow your way.
Hmm.
But the thing is this is I really think that, and this is where it falls into a community too. One of the things that makes the gaming community and the tabletop gaming community so special is because we back each other up by and large, and people have the ability to learn from the mistakes. Accountability is a great thing. You know, I try to be forgiving of people as much as possible. People say things out of anger. Me and Steve's gotten in arguments before. We've gotten pissed off at each other. You know
Hmm.
what? You have your say. Maybe you don't talk for a couple days because you're a little bit angry. Maybe your ego is dented. I'm guilty of it too. But you know what? At the end of the day, you know what? It is what it is. People say dumb things and such. Fugly says, I used to tell my students to learn from my mistakes. It puts you ahead of me. Exactly. And, you know, I, it's, that's part of the problem I think that we've had in the gaming community, and it got really vocal the last few years. And that is, what people don't realize is, at the end of the day, we're all gamers.
Hmm.
Me and Steve do not agree politically. We joke about it, but there's nothing. I mean, Steve could call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, and Steve lives about an hour and a half away from me, and said, Don, I need some help. Can you come right now? I get out of bed, I toss my bunny rabbit slippers on, and I run over and I don't got bunny rabbit slippers. Okay, it's a joke. Steve was going to use that against me later. But the thing is at the end of the day, we're all gamers. We may not agree politically or socially, or we may not, agree that 5e is a good thing or a bad thing, or whatever. But we should always try to be there for each other. Maybe just try to be there for each other. Be a kind word or whatnot. You know, um, it takes nothing if someone says, "Hey," and I'm saying this as a creator, but and I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about in general. Like, if you know somebody who has a module or a game or something on Drive Through RPG, and they post it on their channel and say, "Hey, can somebody share this, please?" It costs you nothing to share it. It doesn't. Hit the share button. It's a kind thing that you can do, and it doesn't sit there and cause you any issues. Um, Vanishing Tower Press, you missed it. What's being stirred up in the hole today? Well, we talked Vanishing Tower. We talked about if paid DMing is a good thing or not. Would you do it? Would you not do it? We also talked about um, how Kickstarter has announced that they're going to start, for lack of a better word, holding creators accountable when they don't come through with their crowdfunding fundraiser. They're really starting to clamp down on that. And also, we talked about the Eberron WIKI, how an admin accidentally left mass commenting on it, and he left an AI bot go nuts all over it. And I guess there was like hundreds or there was thousands of AI corrections and done all screwed up. So pretty good show, I think, on the overall. We had a lot of people posting everything. Fugly says need to get rabbit slippers now, maybe with D20 on the ears. Those would actually be pretty cool. I'm not a slipper wearer. My wife is. My wife wears big fuzzy slippers. I call them her Wookiee slippers because I bought her a pair that are brown like Chewbacca. So, Mr. Gunn says, good night, all. Play games, have fun. God bless everyone. God bless us all. Yes, real quick, everybody. I'm going to be announcing on the Wizard Tower Games Facebook page. I want to start doing monthly a game. So if you want to get on a virtual game with me, I'm going to be doing a monthly game. I'll have a means to sign up. I'm going to have a link to it, all that. So Vanishing Tower Press says, I'm a paid DM now on Start Playing. Yeah, exactly. And Raised by Orc Chop, I'm having AI do Don in those slippers. Heck yeah, man. You know, and Vanishing Tower Press says, been 1 month now. So So basically, yeah, we can let everybody go. We appreciate everybody tonight. We've had a really good group of people. Appreciate all the comments and everything. Please hit a like and subscribe if you would. It helps out the channel a lot. You can go to vlogofmanythings.com. On that website, we have it up and running right now. We have random old shows that are appearing on there, information about us, just a general overall site about the vlog, and also links to our podcasts, which are premiering next week. We're going to be premiering to several different podcasting places out there. So if you're in the car and you don't want to watch it, you can listen to our show. So, Steve, thanks for coming in tonight, my friend.
Oh, you're welcome. Always glad to be here.
Yeah, so Steve is going to be a regular also, by the way. So Steve is a permanent residence until we get his straitjacket fitted properly.
Nope, that goes to Hemi.
Yeah, Hemi the cat, that's right, the coffee spiller. So everybody, thank you for tuning into the Vlog of Many Things tonight. We appreciate it. Again, next week, Steve, you could still come on the Vlog of Many Things because you will not be a Total Con, but the rest of us will be, but we can still do the login like this. So
Okay.
everybody will be at Total Con next week. We're going to do a special show, kind of give a breakdown how the first Total Con day went and all that, because Thursday's day one. So I am Don.
And I'm Steve.
And this is the Vlog of Many Things. Thank you again, everybody. Have a good weekend. Safe gaming, happy gaming, and Total Con next weekend. Be there or be square.